Hello and welcome. It's The Chat. I am Manny. My guest is someone who could have been mistaken for someone else, but he's a man of his own rights. And there are words associated with him: unmovable, unshakable, uncompromising. But those are the words that put him together as Mr. Human Rights.
Anthony Ojukwu is a legal practitioner, a human rights advocate, and the Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission. Born on May 31st, 1963, Tony, as he is fondly called, hails from Imo State. He had his primary school education at St. Dominic Primary School, Ezi East, Mbise in 1979, and secondary school at Government College Umuahia in 1981. Tony studied at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka, where he obtained his LLB in 1985 and got called to the Nigerian bar in 1986. He is also an alumnus of the University of Lagos, from where he bagged his LLM. He has also obtained certifications from several foreign institutions of law. Not too long after Tony's service year as a core member at the Federal Ministry of Justice, Lagos, he became a legal counsel and part of the legal team which represented the National Electoral Commission (NEC) during the annulled June 1993 elections. After the June 12 experience, Tony had a brief stint with several local and international human rights organizations and later joined the National Human Rights Commission. He grew within the ranks and was appointed the substantive executive secretary of the commission in January 2014. Tony continues to dedicate his services to seeking justice for the oppressed and defending the rights of the defenseless. He is married with children.
Tony, it's a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you.
How was it like for you growing up?
Well, I had a very humble beginning, actually. If your parents were teachers, that's the humblest home you can grow up from.
I mean, you're a lawyer.
Yes.
And which lawyer did you see growing up that encouraged you or motivated you to read law?
Well, in my place, the first lawyer Mbise had was Barrister B.S. Nzenwa, the father of the Justice Odele, the wife of the governor of Rivers State, who is the Supreme Court Justice. So he was the first lawyer in my entire area, and we used to admire him. And
everybody wanted to be like him.
And of course, my father used to tell me, my father was in the Eastern Nigerian Board of Ennis, which was their communication or information section in the Eastern Nigeria. And he used to tell us about one Lord Horhor in England. And so as a child, he used to call me Lord Horhor. So, so somehow I grew up to think that I should be a lawyer. And in fact, I recall that in my primary two in the elementary school, they asked us to write an essay, composition they used to call it, on the occupation I would like to take up in life. And I wrote that I would like to be a lawyer.
What did you like about the legal profession then growing up? Is it because
the way they dress, the wisdom associated with them, and then fighting for people's rights.
Fighting for people's rights. And
yes.
That's where you are now.
Exactly.
At the head of the National Human Rights Commission.
Yeah.
How long have you been here?
I joined this place in 2001, so I've been here for roughly 19 years.
You know a certain gentleman called Buhari Bello?
Yes, that was the person that made me to join this commission. I came in here first as a special assistant in 2001. He was appointed executive secretary in 2000, and then in 2001 he invited me to be his special assistant.
You also both worked in the National Electoral Commission?
Exactly. We were together in, we met in 1989. 1989. That was during Humphrey Nwosu's National Electoral Commission.
So you have, in effect, seen all forms of human rights abuses.
Certainly. I've come across
which case do you remember the most?
Oh, now, there was this human rights case of somebody who was arrested by SARS. This officer was driving his car in Umuahia, and SARS officers came and arrested him. That they suspected that the vehicle was a stolen vehicle. So they took him all the way from Umuahia to Lagos. And while the case was supposed to be going on, they now auctioned the vehicle to themselves. And what beat my imagination was, if a vehicle is said to be stolen property, the people are supposed to be prosecuted and judgment given one way or the other. Why will the case be in court and the exhibit, which is the vehicle recovered, is now auctioned to one of them?
When did you find out this happened?
Of course, this was about 2016, 2017, yeah. And so it was very absurd, and so we pursued it. We knew that there was something fishy about that, and then the vehicle had been auctioned. We went after the auctioneer and got back the vehicle, and then restored the vehicle to the person. Now, those officers are some of the officers that are now being disciplined for what they did.
This is generally the busiest time of your life.
Exactly.
Why do I say that? Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I do agree with you. It's quite challenging. The challenges of this moment, I think, outside the June 12th election, the experience I had during the June 12th election, this is one of those moments I think I'm also happy to be part of it, because it's going to redefine both human rights and everything in this country.
Where do you see this coming from?
Well, from all indications, it's not as if anybody knew this was going to come this far. At inception, it was like, okay, this is the normal thing, you know. But, of course, the issues being discussed are real issues. They are real issues that every Nigerian, you know, can easily point to say.
Are these issues preventable? Are they things that could have been prevented?
Of course. If the society was being well run, we won't be where we are. For instance, this issue of SARS has been on for years, don't forget. Even before the presidential panel.
But what did you do? I mean, there has been a National Human Rights Commission in existence while this SARS was busy operating and harming people unjustly and the rest of it.
As far back as 2006, 2007, we had a program with NOPRIM, and we called it Public Hearing on Police Abuses. And we went round listening to complaints by members of the public. And of course, we made our findings known to the police authorities at the end of the day. Nothing came out of it. Again, around 2016, we started another public hearing. This one was on SARS. This time around, it was not with NOPRIM, but it was with Clean Foundation. We set up a panel. We went around this country also looking at complaints against SARS and other officers. Of course, when we concluded, we submitted our findings to the relevant authorities, the Police Service Commission, the Ministry of Justice. Of course, nothing happened. Then in 2017, the End SARS movement started. And of course...
In 2017?
In 2017, yes. And the
So this is not the first time the NSAS
no.
movement
This is not the first time.
so the government ignored it.
But in 2017, the vice president was alarmed about this, and he in fact requested that the commission should set up a panel to look at these complaints. And we did. I was the chairman of that panel. And again, we went round, and on the 3rd of June 2019, we submitted our panel report to the president.
What did you say to the president? To scrap SAS at that time?
I did. And I really told the government that the situation there is bad.
Have you ever visited any of these detention places by SAS? What
By-
do you think?
We in fact, we have a monitoring department here, and the duty is to visit places of detention and document them and produce reports and plan intervention. We do visit all detention facilities, including SAS facilities. In fact, we have current reports.
What are the sort of things you discovered there?
Of course, there's overcongestion. You know, you get to a cell that is supposed to accommodate 10 people, is accommodating 60 people. You know, then you get maybe the place is not being kept clean as it should be. You know, maybe the ventilation is not proper, so people here cannot live healthy life because they will come out there, their lungs and all those kind of things are going to be affected.
And of course, people die in detentions before.
People do die, and we also discover cases where people have been tortured. For instance, you know, maybe you see people with bullet wounds, and we ask questions. How did this person sustain this bullet wound? Was it while the person was running away, for instance? But you now hear from the suspect themselves that they got it while they were in SAS detention. One of the practices from what we got was that immediately you come in there, they give you a bullet on your legs. It's not as if they even treat you. You know, you are lucky if the thing heals on its own. And
so what do you do then, as a National Human Rights
Now
Commission?
we do a report, and we report.
Do you follow up such reports?
We do. But you see, the thing is, until 2019 or thereabouts, torture was not criminalized, so to say. There is this thing that happens, what we call a trial within a trial. Because we discovered, how we discovered this was, most of the cases coming to court were based on confessional statements. And how is it possible that almost everybody arrested by the police or SARS is confessing to the crime? So we suspected that some of these confessional statements were because people have been tortured to a point, and they had no just to save their life, because they were going to, you know, keep torturing them until they die. They'll now say, okay, yes, I did it, I committed it, just at least let me be alive the next day. Who knows, maybe something can happen and I can still get free. So the people were confessing to statements. So we now pushed for the passage of Anti-Torture Act. Now that act has made it a criminal offense for you to obtain evidence by torture, and will also nullify that evidence.
The NSAS of 2020 was targeted at internet fraudsters.
Yeah, because...
and are they the same people who are on the streets protesting?
Well, we suppose that the people on the streets are innocent people. That's our supposition. But it is possible that those who have suffered in the hands of SARS are the people on the streets also complaining. But the important thing is the Constitution of Nigeria says you are innocent until proven guilty. So there's no reason why any Nigerian who is arrested or alleged to have committed an offense should be treated like a criminal until he has been proven guilty. So what is happening is now somebody can just write a petition against you, Mani, today, and nobody will give Mani the option of being innocent. that single petition, the first investigation will be to arrest money and put you behind bars. That kind of system cannot be right. Because the Constitution says you are innocent until proven guilty. But the investigation pattern is that you are guilty, come and prove your innocence.
Pick a question. Wow.
Okay.
Read the question.
Okay, the question says, how do you deal with PTSD, considering the kinds of stories people come to you with and the graphic nature of evidence you see? That's post-traumatic stress disorders. Now, we have seen that this is a major challenge in our work. Not only me, all the staff in the complaint treatment department have...
Are you really equipped for it?
Initially, we were not. But when we discovered this, we had to employ some staff who read psychology, who read trauma counseling and so on and so forth in school, so that they can deconstruct themselves after they have any terrible experience narrative. Because I can tell you, for instance, you can come into the morning and the first case file you have is a 6-month-old baby who has been sexually abused. It will be difficult for you to eat that day. You know, your mind will flash back to your kids in school, your family, and so on and so forth. So it's difficult for you to put yourself together. So we go through a lot of post-traumatic stress here, and so we had to get in-house because we can't hire people to be doing this. It will be too expensive for us. So the solution we found is to employ some people in-house who read this in school, so that they can help themselves whenever they have such challenges. Even in the police, because the police officers go through a lot of traumatic experiences. You can see.
And you too, in human rights.
Yes, we too. We too. So it's a challenge. I think they should recognize it, because if you look at one of the recommendations for the SARS officers, they say they should be psychologically re-examined and their mental state also examined, because some of them have seen so much blood that it doesn't mean anything to get. They've lost that humanity.
But there's a problem with this. You know, there are a group that wants SARS ended completely, and there is another group, especially from the north, that's encouraging, the continuation of SARS.
That is why this country is a very big country. There's no one thing everybody can agree to, and everybody's entitled to it.
Why is it sectional?
It's not sectional. It's not sectional.
I don't know that anybody from the south is asking for
the reality is, even if you come to normal analysis of policing, for instance, if you are moving from Onitsha to Lagos, you may encounter 1,000 police checkpoints. But if you are going from Abuja to Kano, you will not see that. You will not see that. So, the people down south have more confrontation with police than those up north. Up north, police is probably doing what they're supposed to do, fighting criminals, and that is why the governors are saying these people are helping us to fight criminals. The extortion that goes on in the south may not be going on there. So they are genuinely saying their mind because of their own personal experiences. It's not as if they have not had these experiences with SARS.
You have come across a recent report about complaints, and apparently out of 36 states, only 13, you said.
And that is the reason. That is the reason. If you see those states, predominantly there will be states in the south. Because when we advertise for, like now, we have advertised yesterday and today, calling people who have genuine cases to file in a memoranda. It is people who have cases that will file. You are not going to manufacture one.
But you obviously know that there are more than cases in other states, and people are just not willing to, come forward.
No, but what I'm saying, on a balance of scale, also, if there's no case from Gombe State, Or if there are 10 cases from Gombe State, maybe you may have 20 in Imo. So that is the truth of this nation. There's no one thing that you can say is the same everywhere. So people will talk from their own experience. So what you think is your problem may not be the problem of the man in Cross River State, for instance. What we're thinking is our problem here in Abuja may not be the problem of the man in Cross River State. It may not be the problem of the man in Sokoto State.
So the way the SARS, people approach people in this
state are also different, So you must be conscious of that. I don't think it is good to dismiss it, because the fact is, people in different places experience the same thing in different ways.
Are you in sync with the people who are asking for a total overhaul of the police force?
We're in sync with them. We are given opportunities to engage. So it's up to them to join and be part of the process, because if you are not in the meeting room, how can you influence it? So what I urge them is, please put forward your people. Don't blackmail your people from engaging, because it's only when you engage that you can concretize.
What 5 things would you take away to this island?
My law book.
So you take a law book, yeah?
I'll take my law book, and then, of course, I'll take a novel. I like classical novels.
Which has been the best you've read?
I like Shakespearean books. I love to read them because they help me to actually, even in school.
Well, the Shakespearean English,
yes,
do you like it as
well? Yes. Even while I was in school, I used to act plays. I used to.
Really?
Yes, I used to be a theater person.
Wow.
I used to act drama in
Wow.
school. I was in the drama club in school.
Okay, so that's the second one. What about the third one?
Well, I love things like maybe watching crime stories. Like if I have DSTV, I'll probably want to watch Discovery Channel. That's the kind of because I like to untie mysterious crimes. I want to see how people are reasoning.
So how would you do this? You take a huge TV set?
No, I'll probably take some tapes that I can play.
Okay.
And then, of course, I will have my telephone, because
Yes,
I want to be in touch with my family, and also, of course, I'll go with my clothes.
As expected, warm clothing.
And then, of course, I would like to go with my Jagumola cap. Because at times I just...
Why? Does it hold any special thing for you?
Yeah, at times it makes people to see that side of me, not being too official, that this guy also has some relaxation about him.
Have you ever been abused?
No, not really. I've been lucky. I've been fairly lucky. I don't think I've ever had any abuse. I've not had. I think I've been lucky.
And all members of your family too?
Yes, we've never recorded any abuse.
You have a wife, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
You have children?
Yes, I do.
Anyone into law?
Incidentally, most of my kids are all in the sciences.
Really? Why did they go that direction?
Maybe they think lawyers are not rich people. they talk and they feel lawyers read and read.
One last word for these demonstrators.
I congratulate them because they have done marvelously well for the country. This is a turnaround point for the country, and it is a big thing to be associated with this turnaround. So it is something to congratulate themselves for, but please let them try and concretize the gains into things that will really endure and really shape the future of the country.
Thank you very much, Tony Ojukwu of the National Human Rights Commission, for being on the program.
Thank you, Manny.
Well, see you again.
Thank you.
And wish you luck.
Thank you very much.
That's been The Chat. I am Manny. See you next time. The Chat is produced by Channels Television. You can watch it again online. Just visit our social media platforms: Twitter, YouTube, Facebook.